Hi. Hi, friends. Hello. Oh, it's been a really long time since I've been on here. A really long time, and I'm a little bit cold, so this will be quick. Yeah. I had quite a winter. I thought I was going to have one kind of a winter, and instead I'm trying to get my glove back on. I had all these plans for working on my novel and doing a bunch of YouTubes, and I ended up spraining my right wrist. I'm dominant right-handed, and my 100-pound dog fell on it. Yay, sweet old man. He's 14 now. And I was on my own for 2 weeks taking care of him after my sister had a baby. My mom was there. She had a hard birth. That's her story to tell. But I was on my own taking care of the dog with a sprained wrist, and he kept falling in the snow. He can't pick himself up. It's like a whole thing. And I ended up developing tendonitis in both of my hands, to the point where I couldn't use a fork for a brief period of time. Couldn't pick up Advil without shooting pain like electricity up my hands. And it's improved quite a bit. It's been 2 months almost exactly. I still feel like I have a lot of healing to go through, which sucks, frankly. It's hard to get any work done for a long period of time. I take a lot of breaks, do a lot of stretching, little hand exercises here and there. But yeah, it's been a challenge. It's been a real season of forced surrender. Something I never would have chosen for myself, but here we are. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, I think, too, because I've had a lot of time to think about it. But yeah, we are here in second half of April, just about, yeah. And it is freezing in the shade, kind of warm in the sun. Sometimes it snows. It still snows a little bit. But I think we're finally tipping into spring, so that's very exciting. There's a daffodil that's just about to bloom, just about. And things are starting to move and change, but I very much feel like, and maybe you feel this way too, it feels like this year just started off messy. It started off heavy and frustrating, and like I was in a standstill, and with the political world, with just being in winter, with my body being all over the place, feeling non-functional. It just feels like I really need spring. I really need sort of like a refresh. So I want to get back on YouTube, want to keep talking about things even if I'm taking it slowly. And yeah, I want to I just kind of feel like I want to start over and keep going with what I was doing, but do it differently, if that makes sense. But it feels very much like a stop and start time in my life. With the weather, it's like we go a couple steps forward and then we go backwards. It snows again. With my hands, I'll feel like, okay, I'm getting better. I have more, look at how fast my fingers are moving. That's amazing to me. Like, I feel like I can do more things, and then I'll overdo it. Like, I'll try to paint for a little bit. Like yesterday, I painted for 30 minutes and then felt like I was fine. And this morning, a lot of pain between these fingers. Like right there. Sorry, I'm holding my phone. That knuckle between the middle and index fingers fucking kills. So frustrating, but that's starting over, right? That's starting new things. That's moving forward in your life. There's a couple steps forward, step backward, a couple steps forward, step backward. So if you relate to any of this, let me know. But yeah, welcome to spring in Door County. So let's talk surrender. Um, like many people, getting to a place where I'm talking about surrender means that I went through a situation, many situations throughout my life, but lately with my hands, a situation that did not make me feel like surrendering. It was not a natural state to go into. Oh, my hands aren't functioning. Like, I guess this is just going to teach me something. No, I was furious on my way into this experience. I sobbed and was actually very, very scared. It was just, even though there were logical explanations for what was going on, to lose complete control over my life, literally my actual hands, um, was frankly, it was horrifying. It felt it just felt wild. It felt like I had entered a whole other world. And so as I talk about surrender today, um, I'm going to talk about my own experience with it, but everyone goes through moments like this in their lives where things are completely out of their control, or you just if you even just look at the world right now, things feel insane. They feel topsy turvy. If you go through a death in your life, if you go through a diagnosis, if you go through a breakup, if you get fired, whatever, we end up in these moments in our lives where we are literally riding the current, and it feels like what was within your control isn't. Who knows for how long. It's very scary. And for me, it really it felt like a massive loss of identity for me to not be able to use my hands. Um, and it still does. I mean, I was crying about this like the other day when my hands were, look at how my hands work now, by the way. Yay. But when, I was going through a lot of pain, I have a lot of pain right here. I already talked about that right there. And that's where where I write and paint. And my hands look enormous. Here they are. But I just it scares the shit out of me still. The very slow recovery. Anyway, a lot of us go through moments like this. So I'm going to talk about my experience, things that I gleaned from this, as the dark moments become less and less. And I hope that this is helpful to you if you find yourself going through any kind of a moment that's forcing you into surrender, right? Because we don't really choose to put ourselves into surrender. We can try. I've done that a lot in my life. I've been like, I'm surrendering. Like your whole body's clenching, like, look at me surrender. I feel like there's a meme that's like, it's like a guy like screaming and crying, and he's like, does the universe know that I'm trusting it? It's like, that's how I've been. But anyway, I've been forced into this, and because we're talking about health, the physical body, for my situation, I'm going to start talking about that. Of course, I was put into a situation of intense gratitude. um when I was at my worst, I would like watch a show on TV and I would cry because the actors had hands that were working. And by the way, I do know I'm very lucky to have overall normally functioning hands. My dad was a hand surgeon, and he used to sew people's hands back on. I mean, arms back on. It was wild. I'm very lucky to have not had issues really until now with my hands in particular. But it just brought up this incredible reverence for the human body that I have, and this feeling that it could be taken away. My powers of capability could be taken away. Um, I've never thought about respecting my wrists and like doing exercises to strengthen them. I have never thought about that, which is interesting because I actually was starting to show signs of tendonitis from painting and from doing like housework and gardening this last fall. And I had to take huge breaks, and I never thought that something was actually happening. So, ignoring my own body signs. Um, but yeah, it just forced me into my own body. Um, And though it's been kind of terrible, it's also been a good thing. And I take a lot more vitamins now. I'm really focused on water, having a lot of protein to heal the tendons. Um, yeah, just respecting the human body that is not going to work forever. I was also forced to be in a position of having to ask for help and having to receive it, which is not really part of my identity as a person. I have always been someone who just does it. Like I'll be the one who handles it. And I think particularly what's so frustrating, and I know a lot of people experience this with chronic pain and also with mental health, is that the pain is invisible. Even like talking to the doctor, uh, he was much more interested in my sprained wrist and getting an X-ray on that, and when I talked about like the tendonitis and the pain, he was kind of like, like it's just like, and you're like, okay, I guess I'm the one who's advocating for this. I'm the one who knows what's going on inside of me. And that feels, um, it's so funny. All of these are such running themes in my own life. It's like other people might not see what's wrong, but I do. And I have to be the one who takes care of it, who advocates for it for myself, who takes responsibility for my own invisible pain. And um and that's okay. That's okay. And it's okay if other people don't see it. I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to ask for help. I'm going to get help. um and it really just it also put me into this position of feeling like, loss of control. I started out in January planning out the year as a lot of us do, and thinking I'm going to do this and this month, etc. And very quickly, with my hands going out and realizing I had months of healing ahead of me, it really put me into the river, the river of life, and this feeling that, and I also feel this way in good moments too, this feeling that I am not the only one in charge here. Um, and the universe is not the only thing in charge here, right? It's not just fate. And it's also not just me muscling through. It's a feeling of collaboration. And healing has felt very much so like, okay, we are working together. Me and my mind, me and my body, me and whatever creative output I'm capable of within these limitations, and time and life is meeting me. And that's much easier said than done. but um but it was helpful to feel like I didn't choose this. I didn't create this. I I also really felt like I had to work through the feeling of like, am I being punished? Which I hate that I have that, but I think a lot of us feel that way. I actually know a lot of people who had sort of rock bottoms or physical rock bottoms in the first part of this year, and a lot of us kind of joked like, "What am I doing wrong? Does the universe hate me?" And I really feel like I've been forced to confront that and cry it out and work it out and be like, the universe is not a punishing parent. Um, but yeah, I mean, my goodness, it's just like a hand injury, and it's like teaching me so much, whether I wanted it or not. um, Another thing, oh yeah, the ego death of being someone who makes things happen, being the one in charge, being I'm a film director, right? Being the one who is responsible. Um, and I don't think I ever really realized, I did realize, but not to this extent, how much my actual human identity is formed based on what I accomplish, what I do, whether or not I am a hard worker. Um, if you're not a hard worker in my family or in, the Midwest in general, that's been my feeling. If you're not a hard worker, you're kind of worthless, right? You should feel bad about yourself, and to work on that in my brain and be like, well, I mean, I literally cannot be. I literally cannot be a hard worker and just sitting there and letting all those horrible emotions go through me and just be like, okay, I can feel like I'm a bad person. I know it's not true, but I feel like it right now. And to just sit and feel it, felt like a fire moving through me. Um, and one thing that I tend to do, I noticed this. I noticed this even last fall with painting at a certain moment is I go through periods of panic working, and that label has specifically helped me to see what I'm doing. It's like I'll go through a moment, like things will be good, and then something will trigger a feeling of lower self-worth. So a feeling of like insecurity, feeling behind, feeling money panic, feeling just any kind of trigger, or just like an insecurity being triggered by another person, jealousy, and it will move me into panic working. So being like, okay, I'm gonna do this much writing, I'm gonna finish the novel this quickly, I'm gonna write this, get to this scene by the end of this month, this scene by the end of this month, and just there's this clenching energy, um, and not resting when I've done what I said I was going to do that day, and also over planning what I think I'm going to do in one day or in one week. And it's been really good for me to not be allowed to work to some degree. I still have to do things, but I'm just careful. Um, and I I go at a much slower pace than I would like to, but it has helped me feel so much more solid and steady to say, I'm only typing on my computer on my novel for an hour today, and that is it. I'm only painting for 30 minutes, and frankly, that actually is too long right now, I think. Um, there are limitations, and I can get done what I can get done. So I'm watching the urge to panic work, and I'm watching it move through me again because I can't. I literally cannot. So I will go for a walk and I will tell myself, I literally cannot work. This is what I can do. And it's been semi-torturous, but overall very helpful, cleansing, one might say. Um, One of the wonderful things that came from this experience was um, being forced to surrender and being forced to sit back and enjoy the things that I love. Now, certainly, I love writing, I love baking, I love painting, I love exercising, actually. To not be able to do that is so frustrating. But you guys, I couldn't even read a book for a little while, like holding the pages open. God, I cried so much. I know when I'm so tired lately. I cried all winter, spring. I couldn't hold the pages of a book open. It hurt. It was so frustrating. But I could watch movies. And I started returning to the classics. I was watching Casablanca. I was watching, God, what else? The Third Man, which I hadn't seen in a long time. Going through some Hitchcock, Mildred Pierce. La Piscine, which I'd never seen before, which I really loved. But yeah, just like going into like classic cinema. And I also this last winter I treated myself to master class, which it's okay. I don't know exactly if I think is that amazing, but I was watching the Scorsese master class, which I hadn't really thought to do, and I just threw it on, and I loved it so much. I've only watched maybe like the first half of it, I think. But to listen to someone who loves movies so much, and I love how he calls them pictures, and to soak in that enthusiasm was so wonderful, and it just brought back my own enthusiasm and my own brain working on plot and storytelling and characters, and it made me feel like I loved movies again, and it made me feel like I loved literature and stories again. And that was such a wonderful gift. And what happened uh, with my novel as a result of just sitting there and not being able to work on it, um, and frankly going through a depression, is my brain with these movies and with all of this time. You guys, I couldn't even scroll on Instagram. My doctor was like, oh, they finally found a way to get people to stop scrolling. It's like, yeah, severe pain. um I couldn't even scroll, and I didn't even want to. So I had all this silence in my life. And I started working mentally on my novel and like voice texting myself notes on the novel. And I feel like it sharpened my sword. Um, it sharpened my approach. Certainly, it gave me more urgency, but it also felt more purposeful. I could see why this novel needed to exist. The characters got stronger, more dynamic. Um, it just it just got so much stronger as a result. And lately, the last several weeks with me returning to it, I can really feel the benefits. So that's really a very cool thing. Um, and the last thing is, I felt a sense, and I continue to feel a sense of heightened power. To not have my hands, to sit there and to not be able to go like this without pain running down, 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 down. I developed such a love for my own hands, for what I had, what I didn't know I had. um, this happens to all of us when we're sick, right? When we're not well, when something is wrong, we're like, we didn't know what we had. Um, happens in death too. We didn't know what we had. But I felt such a keen awareness of my own capabilities, of my own power, of my own ability to act, to take action, to enact changes in my life, to create. Um, I developed so much more respect for my own work. And of course, this, it comes that when you don't have what you had, you think to yourself, why didn't I appreciate that? And I very much so felt like, why was I so shitty to myself about my art? Why did I put such horribly high expectations on myself, especially with the first novel, or with not having painted for a long time, or whatever. It just felt like these are all gifts. These are all gifts that I have, and they're enough. They're enough, and I love using them. And I love my power. I love the skills that I have and the time that I have to continue to educate myself, to continue to practice my skills and hone my writing and continue to paint and to develop that as a skill. And I just felt this respect for my own abilities, and also for the largeness of my novel. This feeling of sitting all these hours not able to work and being aware of all of these themes coming up within me, and watching the Scorsese masterclass and feeling my own ego death. There was just a heightened sense for me of, this novel really matters to me, and it matters even more having lost the ability to write it. And it's it's big. It's big. And so I've been returning lately to the novel, and it's really a pleasure to work within the limitations that I have right now. And things are getting better every day. Some days I go backwards. My hands were great all day actually, and now it's hurting right in here. So it bounces all over the place, up in my shoulders sometimes. But I'm very grateful. And I never would have ever wanted to go through this. I wouldn't wish it upon anyone. It is the most fucking frustrating thing I've ever been through. But I am lucky in so many ways, and the surrender, believe it or not, has been good for me. I say that to myself also. Believe it or not, this has been good for you. And I do not say that things happen for a reason, but I do believe in finding the ways that things can work for you. So that's what I've been doing. I'm trying to find ways to make this work in my favor. So yeah, I'm glad to be back here on YouTube. I was really intimidated by coming back, but yeah, glad to be here. All right. I'll see you guys later. Bye.